Good afternoon, all. Before I start our stampede down memory lane, I've got a few kudos. First, every member of our organizing committee helped make today happen. Their names are listed at the end of those emails you received, but do want to single out a few on that list and a few who aren't. First, we have Jennifer Deck Samuelson, who pulled the laboring oar on for today's preparations, regularly tag teaming with Connie Carpenter Dean, 79. Next, Dennis O'Shea, 77, our MC for this afternoon, whose invitation and supplemental emails got you all here today. He rivals Ronald Reagan as a great communicator. Steve Delano, 77, brought you these glasses with Nancy and Sam's image on them, just to keep all the 77s together. Duff Anderson, 77, creator of the Coach Sam, A Man for All Seasons video, which is showing right here in a continuous loop. It's also available on YouTube. Duff, who's no longer with us, put that to video together 26 years ago for Sam's retirement dinner. Almost finally, Mike Stevens, 73, who made sure we were thinking things through all along the way. And we certainly got to thank Matt Samuelson for reconcocting the Big Dick special, available nearby at a secure, undisclosed location. In a few minutes, I think Tom McEvoy, 76, will be explaining that ostensibly non-anatomical term and disclosing its location. Let's hear it for all of them. And let's not forget those who made the service at Thompson Chapel so magnificent. Officiants Vanessa Harper, class of 12, daughter of Jim Harper, 74, and Rob Benson, class of 90. Musicians Jonathan Souters and Al Fingers Devereaux, 2 generations of Samuelsons, several Williams swimmers, including, here he is again, Mike Stevens. Let's give them a hand too. I guess I snuck in a few memories there, but here's my official start. I swam for Sam before you guys made him famous, even before that first Rinky Dink bar and grill in 73. Remember the mantras in his pre-meet pep talks. Be cerebral, be inertial, bring it home on the end, tough mothers. He motivated us all with humor and support, and somehow with those mantras, not with yelling and criticism, except when we were busting picture frames all along the walls around the pool during kickboard wars. Even during my college days, his influence, he was quite influential, and his influence extended way beyond the pool. For instance, in 1970, I said to him, "Coach, I'm going to do the Williams in India program next year," which, by the way, would have wiped out my junior year of swimming. His response was immediate. "No, you're not." I didn't. I'm sure many of you knew this well before graduation, but I didn't quite get it until later. Sam wasn't just a coach, he was a friend. I got to recognize and enjoy that friendship after I joined the Lawrence Beach Club in 1976, spending many a Saturday night grilling burgers on the beach with Sam and Nancy. Many of you swimmers must have basked regularly in their friendship, both before and after you graduated, sitting with Sam and Nancy around the kitchen table at their home on Water Street. If you go out this way to the fireplace, that table is there by the fireplace. By the way, Sam ran swimming races for the kids at the beach club every Saturday morning all summer. At age 32, I occasionally did pretty well in the boys 17 and over age group. I spoke at the pool dedication ceremony in 2000. I started by reviewing Sam's accomplishments, innumerable championships, including a few nationals, Coach of the Year 4 times. Sorry. All right. And hundreds of All-Americans, and lobbying successfully for the 50-meter pool.
Indeed. Can I get your attention?
Attention, please.
The sound system is a little quiet, and a lot of talking in the back kind of makes it hard to hear what this is. And this is important. So if we could kind of keep the talking a little quieter, that'd be nice. And I'm sorry to interrupt.
Interrupt like that anytime you want. So I spoke of those accomplishments, noting that the theme of that weekend was Carl R. Samuelson, the legacy. I close with an observation that applies today as well. Coach Sam's legacy isn't the pool or the stats or any of those accomplishments. His legacy is you. Last item. I tried this in 2000 at the pool dedication, but it worked better at the swimming reunion in 2024. Watch my hand for the cadence. Does anyone remember a cheer that features the word FIVO? Nobody. All right. Nobody? Oh, wait. Watch my hand for the cadence. Ready? For the FIVO, for the 5-0, for the FIVO, 5-0, Fumbo. Jack's got a rat trap, bigger than a rat trap. Jack's got a rat trap, bigger than a gun. Campbell, Zis Boom Ba. Williams, rah, rah, rah. Very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jim. All right, now, how many of you have been to a Rinky Dink Bar and Grill? Raise your hand. How many of you were at the first Rinky Dink Bar and Grill? Not too many. Huh? There will be discussion. 1973. So we've done 50 some of these, COVID notwithstanding. And now, to give you the background on the first Rinky Dink Bar and Grill, the origin story, and who the hell Rinky and Dink were, here is Tom McEvoy, class of '76.
Now, this is important stuff. Everyone, do you have your glass? Your Rinky Dink glass? All right, so here's the story. And this is a testimony not only to Sam and Nancy, but to the upperclassmen we had at the time. Guys like Mike Stevens and Tom Crane and Kurt Greer. We're driving back on a road trip in January of 1973, and we're getting in late, and two of my best friends in Morgan East, Rick Greenwood and Dick Pregent, and they said, we're gonna have a party. And we got the guys in the next room that kind of give us their room too, and we're gonna really just blast it out. So we were all excited, and all the freshmen got involved, and we got there, set up the party. Also, all the upperclassmen came, and we had a poster saying Rinky Dinks, and the rink is Rick Greenwood, and the dink is Dick Pregent. And the main drink they had, I'm sorry to say this, was the Big Dick Special, which was a shot of 7 different kinds of liquor that Matt Samuelson has made for us at the log later on. But we have a more civilized version here.
It's actually outside here.
It's right out here, okay. So the really cool thing about this is, after we had this party, and then all the upperclassmen were there, and we partied hard. And the next week we're in the pool, and Sam comes up to Rick and Dick, puts his arm around him and said, I heard about Rinky Dinks. They thought they were in trouble. Sam goes, let's do it again after the season. And that started a tradition. So that tells you a lot that you need to know about Coach Sam. So to Sam and Nancy, salute.
We will do that. If you want to know where to get a batch of Rinky Dinks Big Dick Special, please see Matt Samuelson. By the way, Tom didn't tell you the special part of the recipe for the Big Dick Special. At the end, after everything was mixed in, Dick Prejean had to breathe on it. Extremely important. So don't try to mix a batch without Dick Prejean's breath. We have several people who are going to speak now. We'll ask them to keep to 2 minutes. And we want to start with a longtime friend of the Samuelsons, Charlie Gray of Bowdoin, class of 1966, speaking for himself and his brother Dick Gray of Springfield. Is Charlie here? Charlie Gray, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome.
You're Dennis, right?
Yeah, I'm Dennis.
You're the best.
Pleasure to see you. Speak loudly right into that.
I will.
Down toward your
I'll
mouth.
edit mine down. Folks, you tell me if I need. Am I okay?
Louder as loud as you can.
Folks, I am in fact the Charlie Gray, and I am in fact an interloper from Bowdoin College. It's a small trade school up north, but I am a longtime close friend of Sam and Nancy, and I met Sam probably 70 years ago. Doesn't seem possible because I'm only 54. But Lyndon Scott, as I was coming into the church, said, I told her I thought I was 60, but 60 years old. But she said, no, it's at least 70. So I'll defer to Lynn. She's always better with the numbers. My brother Dick is a Springfield College graduate. He was coached by Sam, and he was an All-America at Springfield College. Sam was a good friend of mine, and as a high school swimmer, he invited me to swim at the Springfield College pool. And Will Brown and Bruce Kurtz invited me to share their locker. Now, I believe that is an NCAA violation. But Sam was that way. He was very flexible and very accommodating and took care of a needy high school swimmer. He's a great guy. I wanted to say, first of all, and I haven't met Dennis O'Shea. Many of you know and love him. To know him is to love him. Dennis O'Shea, for all of his work and his committee's work on our behalf, but more importantly on Sam and Nancy's behalf. I would also like to recognize those of you who have contributed to the Sam and Nancy Scholarship Fund and or will contribute in the future. I can only think that Sam would be here tonight and he would say he was how happy he is to know that his scholarship as himself are well endowed. Is that right, Dennis? I'm going to modify what I was going to share because people are sweating like pigs. Not you. You're fine. But Dennis mentioned the Sam's Moving Company. I have to admit that my brother Dick, who's 2 years younger than me and unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, and Steve Olson, myself, and Sam himself, when they moved to Williamstown to become the head coach of swimming, we packed up a U-Haul trailer and moved every bit of furniture and belongings that Sam and Nancy owned to Williamstown. The three of us, plus Sam, packed and unpacked that truck in one warm day, and it was a great trip. And Sam, at the end of things, brought out a very nice cold case of beer, which we set upon eagerly. After a few beers, I remember clearly taking the last swig of one and throwing the empty beer can onto his front yard, his new front yard that he hadn't even moved into. And Sam freaked out, said, "What are the neighbors going to think?" I said, "Well, they ought to meet you early, Sam."
Pick your foot up.
Oh,
There you go.
am I okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Al Devereaux and Dave Page and I met with Sam a few months ago in his condominium, and we had a very nice day and lunch, thinking about old times and telling stories, telling lies, and we had a lot of laughs, and Sam really enjoyed it, and it was a great time. Sam gave me, and so I'm sure many of you have a picture of the old pool. And I swam in the old pool. My son is also a Bowdoin graduate. Where's Matt? Graduated from Bowdoin. He swam in the new pool and in the new pool in the New Englands. But I swam in the old pool. And that's a picture of the old pool, and Sam thought I should have it. You look at the end of the old pool, and those of you who have that poster will see that there's a picture of a coach coaching his team, and that coach is Charlie Butt. Charlie Butt was my coach at Bowdoin, and he was a good friend of Sam's. And we are all connected because of that kind of a relationship, and we're blessed for it. When I was swimming, we swam against Williams up in Brunswick. And we were getting ready for the meet. It was a big meet. Williams had a very tough team. All you guys and gals acquitted yourself well, especially against Bowdoin. And Charlie Butt said, I talked to Sam earlier this week, and he said, guys, he said, the only way we can beat Williams is if there's a terrible, terrible accident on the main turnpike. Bus goes out of control into a ditch, and several of the swimmers are injured badly. So then we might have a chance. It occurred to me then, it occurs to me now, that's coaching. I'm going to say two very personal things, maybe three. First of all, one of Sam's favorite expressions, and many of you have heard it, is fairest compliment you could pay a person is that he or she is a tough mother. Have you heard that? Remember that? It's absolutely true. And I would say that all of you in the room today, in my view, are tough mothers.
Yeah. Yeah.
The second thing I would say, and this memorial service was a terrific memorial service. Thank you all for sharing it with us. Henry Adams wrote in The Education of Henry Adams that a teacher, and Sam was, in fact, a teacher affects eternity. He knows not where, I suppose I should now say, or she, knows not where his influence ends. And that's the truth about Sam. Many of us will carry the words of wisdom that he shared with us as we go forward and share with others. The last thing, as I sit down, hopefully, is a poem written 126 years ago, and it's one of my favorites, very short. But I happen to have an adult beverage here. Is this yours?
That's mine, but you may sip.
The man that men admire. Drink, if you will, to the handsome man, or the proud athlete, undaunted, and toast him to the husband, true, whose faith has long been vaunted. And drink to the strong and handsome man, but lift your glasses higher when the toasts ring out in a merry shout for the man that men admire. Amen. Here's to Sam. Thank you very much.
Well done. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, it's time for a story about Sam and about one of our dearly departed brethren. And to tell that story, I want to call forward Jordan Lewis of the class of '79.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jordan Lewis. I am from the class of '79. I'm here to tell you that the day I had my first Rinky Dink's drink, I lost all my hair. So the first thing I want to say is directed to the Samuelson family who are gathered in this room. I want to thank you personally for sharing your mother and father, Nancy and Carl, with us. You changed our lives, and it's like a ripple it's like a rock thrown in a pond. Those ripples go and go and go, and we appreciate it. So my story involves Coach Sam and Stuart Deans. Now most of you should know Stuart Deans. Stuart was class of '78, a great distance swimmer, 5'7", blonde hair, looked a bit like John Lennon, a look he affected. And we were down at Fort Lauderdale Hall of Fame swimming clinic. And for those of you who remember, we had the pool twice during a given day. We had the pool once for the 50-50s, or otherwise known as cocktail hour. And then the pool gave us a lane or two at some point other than that 50-50s, which I think happened between 4:30 and 5:30. We had lanes 1 and 2 of the Hall of Fame pool at 10 o'clock at night, and nobody was happy about that. So Stuart was leading off lane 2, which was appropriate, and I was swimming second. And you need to understand, Stuart is the nicest, most humane, sweetest man ever birthed on planet Earth, and I am not. So Stuart's leading off, and I'm feeling kind of cranky. I'm feeling kind of cranky about that it's 10 o'clock at night and the elbow room is calling me, and I'm just feeling cranky. So Stuart pushes off, and I swim like hell the first 50 meters so that I can get on his feet, and I can grab his feet for the rest of the interval. Why? I don't know. It just seemed like the thing to do. So we got done with that 200, and Stuart looks at me and he says, "You go first." And I couldn't argue. So I went first, and Stuart caught me in the first 50 meters, and he spent the next interval swimming behind me, grabbing my feet. And for those of you, most of you will know that that's about the most obnoxious thing you can do. So he and I took turns swimming first or second for the next half an hour, getting crabbier and snarkier and nastier, and we managed to hijack the entire workout. And Sam is watching this behavior, and he finally stops the practice, and he looks at us and he says, "Get up on the blocks, you're racing a 50." And you can imagine, it's hard to imagine anything more majestic than Stuart Deans and me racing a 50. So we did race the 50 to the amusement of the rest of the team. And I don't know who won, except I won. And when we finished, and we finished this far apart, Stuart jumped into my lane, hugged me, we both burst out into laughter, and Sam looked at us and he said, "Practice is over, go out." And to me, that was Sam's magic sauce. Sam knew people. I don't know if he was the greatest tactical coach or the greatest strategic coach or the greatest logistics coach, but Sam was the greatest people coach. And Sam knew how to puncture the balloon that Stuart and I caused. He knew that we had no business being in the pool anymore, and he solved the problem, and he solved the problem effortlessly. And to me, that was Sam. That's the essence of Sam. And that, by the way, is my favorite race of 15 years of swimming, was racing against Stuart Deans at 10:30 at night in the Fort Lauderdale Hall of Fame pool. So thank you, and thank you, Sam family.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Jordan. Next up, we have a couple of members in order of the incredible women's team of 1983. The first will be Katie Hudner-Howe. Women of 83.
So actually, I just have a couple of very quick stories. One, I'd like to piggyback on Charlie Gray's comments. We loved swimming against Bowdoin, and when we would go to Bowdoin, we would argue about who went first, because whichever team went first got to start drinking while the other team was swimming. So we had to alternate men and women every time because, you know, we just had to get to that. Liz and I had the opportunity to have a Zoom call with a very prolific Bowdoin swimmer, Lissa McGrath, who won national championships and whatnot, and she relayed a story of being at nationals. I think it was the 400 IM, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, she was swimming against the favorite, and she pulled the race out at the very end, and she lifted her head, and she saw Sam running towards her, and she thought, oh my God, I'm gonna get disqualified. What did I do wrong? And she was all nervous. And then Sam got to her and he goes, you're one tough mother. And then I wanted to tell one Nancy story. I hope we don't have many astronomy majors in here, but there was a winter study class that I took in astronomy with Professor Pasikoff. And the one day that I decided to go skiing, he told the class, hey, tell everybody that's not here, they fail the test for today or whatever, and unless they have a note from the doctor. So, well, who do I know at the infirmary? I go down. I explained the situation to Nancy, and she was like, oh, you were coughing. You had a fever, didn't you? And then she relayed that that particular professor was not a fan favorite in the infirmary, and she said, tell anybody else in the class that if they want to come down and get a note, we'll be here. I could go on, but I just want to say how much I think you all know, everybody knows how much Sam and Nancy meant to us, and we'll miss them dearly, but we'll never forget all of the love and compassion that we felt from them.
Our next speaker, also from the women's class of 83, want you to know that she was labeled by the College Swimming Coaches Association as the first superstar of Division III. Liz Jacks.
Good afternoon. As you know, my name's Liz Jacks, class of 83. I swam for Sam and co-captained the team with my friend Katie senior year. And I just want to thank you guys for coming up here to celebrate Sam. And I had to write it down because every time I think about losing him, it upsets me. So I'm sorry, I'm going to have to read. Okay, a few of you have heard this, but maybe you haven't. Around 1982, I was coming home from an ocean swim in Mazatlan, Mexico. And as usual, I was broke. And so Sam gave me a ride from the Albany airport, and in exchange, I brought him back a bottle of tequila, the good kind, the kind with a worm in it. And we went back to his house, and then Nancy was in the kitchen, and we broke open the bottle and poured little shots of it to all of us. And as we were drinking this paint cleaner, some of it spilled on the floor, and it ate through the wax in their kitchen. And I remember Sam and I were busting out laughing, but Mrs. Sam kind of was laughing, but then she wasn't, you know, because it was her floor, and she was going to have to do something with that. So, but the thing about it was Sam was in your corner no matter what, even if you just handed him a can of paint stripper and told him to take a shot. The other thing, and I'm cautious about this because I know I guess it gets us in trouble now, but my favorite was the story about the man who was fat. Do you guys remember that joke at the beginning of our... So this man was really heavy, and he had, you know, these aspirations to lose weight. So he went to a doctor, he got on this diet, he lost all this weight, but then he had all this extra skin. Does this resemble a story you guys are familiar with? And so, you know, he wanted to look hot and sexy, so he went to a plastic surgeon, and he had all the skin removed. And the next morning he wakes up, and he's like, doctor, this is so great. I feel so great. Finally, all that skin's gone, but what the hell is this thing on my head? And the doctor says, that's your belly button. And he says, but wait till you see what you're wearing for a tie. Now, I realize that in 2026, that's not probably a joke that most coaches would tell their women's swim team, okay? But for us, it was a classic, annual, wonderful moment where we'd roll our eyes and look at the freshmen and see what faces they made during this thing. And I love that joke. I fucking love that joke. And anyway, so there's that I remember about him. The other thing that it's kind of hard to explain also, because I really cannot tell this one joke about Mrs. Sam, but she knew everything about every one of us, including our roommates, because she worked in the infirmary. And when I busted my eardrum, and when Frank Fritz threw me down and I busted my shoulder for a bit, and there were other drunken escapades, Mrs. Sam knew before Mr. Sam, right? So like, you'd like go to the infirmary, you're like, please don't tell Coach Sam, because I'm going to get in trouble. But you know, when you had to put silly putty on your ear or whatever, he kind of figured it out. Anyway. The other story I wanted to tell you, because most people don't know this one too, is obviously in the 70s, Williams was like pretty much an all-male school. And there were just a few women who had come in before us. And we still have alums who would tell us how great it was when it was an all-male school. And so Sam really brought the women's team up from nothing, from 75. And by 83 and 82, we had won nationals, which is an amazing feat, you know? While we all know that story about the swim team, the water polo team, which is kind of not a story anyone really knew, was Barb Good and I swam with the men's polo team. And the men from Williams were wonderful. They were gentlemen. They taught us the game. But then we went to Dartmouth. And I had some guy's hand in my suit. We later went to a frat party. Like, seriously, that was amazing, right? So we never... We never wanted to fucking do that again. So we went to Sam and said, dude, we gotta have a women's water polo team, because I can't go to Dartmouth again. And Sam said, great, yeah, let's do it, you know? And he gave us time in the water. We recruited my friends, including TK, who was a softball player, to be our goalie, and some other folks. And we played in the Muir Pool. And then the athletic director, Bob Peck, found out. If you don't know Peck, he was a complete asshole. And I'm pretty sure everybody knows that, but nobody really says it out loud. So Peck called me up to the office, and he's like, I understand you've started a women's water polo team. And I'm like, yeah, we did. He's like, well, you understand you can't start any teams here without going through me first. And I was like, really? I didn't know that. I'm so sorry. Do you want us to disband it? And then he looked at me and he realized, this wasn't going to go down too good. So he said, no, you can keep it. But next time, next time you start a women's water polo team, you have to come to me first. And I thought, yeah, that's not going to happen, Mr. Peck. But, and I love the fact that he's below Sam and Mrs. Sam, by the way. That, on the hill, that's just pretty fucking awesome. Which story? Oh, okay, well, because you guys might know this story. Sam learned that he and Nancy were going to be buried above Peck, so he's downhill. And he said that he was thrilled that as his bodily secretions would leave his body, they would flow down to Bob Peck. So that is, that's the beauty of gravity, I think, right there. Now, I have a serious story, and I'm going to just shortcut it because I know y'all have been really patient today. But the thing about Sam was he would take you aside every so often when he thought you needed, to be adjusted, And so I was a pretty out feminist lesbian. I hope not shocking y'all right now, but and we were working on apartheid, and there was a cross burning, whole bunch of shit up here, and so I was pretty busy with that, and then I was swimming and going to class, and he took me aside my senior year, and he said, Liz, I know all this stuff is really important to you, but don't ruin your life over it. And had he been my folks, I would have probably, thought, oh, fuck off, I don't have to take that. But it was Sam, and I totally love Sam. And I thought, he probably has a point here I should take into account. And so instead of becoming like a civil rights lawyer, I'm a consumer protection lawyer. So what that meant is that instead of just focusing on sort of one aggrandized group, I now just try to protect consumers and get them access to medicines at an affordable price. So I think that Sam's, thank you, but Sam's service and generosity and love and his attention to us not only changed my trajectory, but I know it changed the trajectory of many of you all. And so that was sort of his heart was his superpower. And so that's sort of the major takeaway. I wanted to mention that in Indiana, when Sam was inducted into the CAA Hall of Fame in 2024, I got to go there and stand with Lindsay Payne and Logan Todhunter and Caroline Wilson, and also Matt and Jennifer, who represented him. And it was a really monumental and special day for, I think, all of us. And it was finally the recognition that he does so deserve for being named one of the top 100 swim coaches of the 20th century. And so I always feel like he and I are kind of bonded over that. And so that was a remarkable day. The last thing I want to say is that Mrs. Sam always kept us in line. And Sam and Mrs. Sam and Lynn and Sue and Matt, who shared your dad and mom with us for so many years, I'm just so grateful. And so I just wanted to raise a glass to Sam and Nancy, two tough mothers, and to Sam's macho mamas and papas.
Thank you, Liz. Let us turn now to another aspect of Sam's life, his time and his relationship with his other family at Springfield College. Can we start with Susan Silvia Laing? Is she here? Okay. Or we can start Jennifer. We can start with you. All right. Oh, there we go. Okay. The daughter of the amazing coach, Red Silvia.
Oh, thanks.
Welcome.
I don't think I'm going to be as funny as the previous speaker. But I know we're all so grateful to be here today to honor Sam and Nancy. My childhood, and as a teenager and an adult, was full of memories of both of them. My first memory of Sam was at the McCurdy Natatorium at Springfield College, probably around 1956, 57. and I was learning how to swim. And for those of you that remember that pool, it was 20 yards, 4 lanes, a little bigger than a backyard pool maybe. But this pool, with the people in the pool, Sam was freshman coach for a while, and then assisted my father, produced many successful swimmers, coaches, and many lasting memories. I know that my mother, Ruth, and my father were very proud of Sam when he became the Williams College swimming coach. His ability to connect easily, we've heard that many times today, and his natural gift to inspire and motivate his athletes became a rapid recipe for success. Both Nancy and Sam worked at our beloved swim school, Pine Knoll Swim School, and were considered as family. And if Sue is still in the room, I agree. Those 2 little girls were the cutest things. Because I would hang out with Nancy and, hang out with Lynn and Sue. And they were always at very special events, even our wedding over 50 years ago. And Lynn was a junior bridesmaid. Sue, along with Jennifer Yorzyk over here, did the guest book. And I do have one story about Matthew. So when I was in high school, I was a volunteer at the maternity hospital, and Nancy had him the day I volunteered. And I got to go in, and I just stayed in her room and helped and so forth. So I don't know where Matthew is, but I probably haven't seen him in, 60 years or something. So recently, I was reading some of the comments on Sam's obituary, and one individual commented on his exceptional ability to connect with people. I know this gift even occurred up to the last day he was living. Even when Nancy and Sam were at Sweetwood, the phone would ring and it would be Sam asking me how I am, when are Dave and I coming to see him again. And one time we went up with my husband's college roommate, who was also a swimmer at Springfield, and the 3 of us went up and had lunch, of course. And I said to Sam, I want to be like you when I grow up, because he greeted us with the walker and the wine bag onto the walker. And I thought, yeah, I want to be you. But I also want to mention something that I admired most about Nancy. She was such a devoted mother to Lynn, Sue, and Matt, and I saw this from when they were young. And she had such a gentle kindness that I believe that's who shaped who they are today. So this is a comment that I've heard a lot. Dave and I have one of our granddaughters is with us today. We have another granddaughter in New Hampshire who was born with Down syndrome. And a very common phrase in that community is, we are the lucky ones. And that's what I believe in here too. Thank you.
Thank you. So Coach Silvia was one very important Springfield person in Sam's life and his whole family. The Yorzyk family is also incredibly important. Dr. Bill Yorzyk was Sam's roommate. He was the first Olympic butterfly champion and a great friend of Sam's throughout his life. And Jennifer, his daughter, will speak for the family.
So we might be changing generations because I'm actually reading from the notes on a phone. So I'm Jen. I'm Bill and Carol Yorzyk's daughter. The Samuelsons weren't my blood family, but they were family to me. Susan, I've known her since we are both 3 years old, and she's the closest I've ever had to a sister. And Springfield and Williams College were both our home teams. So before Sam was Coach Sam to generations of swimmers, he was just a kid at Springfield College, roommates with my dad at the swimmer house. And I had taken this out, but since everyone else is going over, there used to be a pot of marinara sauce on the stove for weeks, and they'd scrape the top off, add more meat when they needed, and eat it after practice. So, you know, brilliant or disgusting, that's a little bit of both of them. So what I really want to tell you is the part that most people don't know about and what they accomplished there. So at Springfield College, there was something like, I call it like a brain trust, and it was led by Red Silvia, leading from a framework of camaraderie and humor. So a lot of the stuff I hear about Sam, about Charlie Butt, about all these great coaches, I heard it from Coach Silvia, and it was just like the way they lived together. So Sam, Charlie Butt, and this kid who'd arrived as a freshman at Springfield, not knowing how to swim. He learned just enough to pass into his sophomore year. Then that summer, in between sophomore year, he learned how to swim butterfly in a lake up at a camp with Coach Silvia. And that guy is my dad, Bill Yorzyk. He'd been swimming for less than a year when they started deconstructing the stroke like engineers around the kitchen table at the swimmer's house, testing ideas and then going in the water to test them the next morning. Charlie Butt figured out how to make a camera go underwater. There was no housing at that time. And then they'd take those images, they'd make them into vectors with a medical designer, and they'd map out what the physics behind the stroke would be. Because they were looking at changing the butterfly from butterfly arms, breaststroke legs, to the dolphin kick. But the entire world was working on 13 beats a minute, 1 beat a minute, stroke, 4 beats a stroke. We don't even remember. But I actually met a guy at UBC Thunderbirds who was swimming on their college team in 1956. And they went to practice one day and they swam butterfly with a breaststroke kick. The next day, after all the news came out from the Olympics, they swam it with a dolphin kick. It was like instantaneous. And this is what these guys did, because in 5 years of all that brain tank kind of talking, my dad went from a non-swimmer to winning a gold medal. 5 years, right? And inventing a new stroke, right? So swimming was changed forever. So the part that really matters, it's not the medal. In 1964, Sam turned all of that into his master's thesis, as did Charlie Butt at Columbia University. And Sam's thesis, I've actually got it in my car, is called The Making of an Olympian. And in the introduction, Bill wrote, what emerged from all of it, meaning all that talk, wasn't just a stroke. It was a new and different approach to teaching competitive swimming altogether. Samuelson played a large part in the forming of this philosophy and this approach. So it wasn't easy for these guys, right? They were doing something nobody else had ever done, and they got pushback, and these men got a lot of pushback. But what carried them through was each other. They learned with and from Silvia, that coach-swimmer exchange. And they learned what most coaches didn't learn, that you use the brain to access the body, you use the body to access the brain. They learned how to manage their nervous systems, to bring their focus to the front of their head, to get over their fears, and as they became better people, they just happened to swim really fucking fast. And Melbourne proved that. So Sam and Nancy, alongside my parents, were part of a community like that. People who saw possibility around them. Being surrounded by people like that felt normal to us growing up. But Sue and I have talked about this a lot. Once you're an adult, you realize that's not normal. It's just how you were programmed to think, how to see what's possible. So I just want to thank Sam and Nancy for being two of the reasons we grew up like that.
Be cerebral, be inertial.
That's it, baby.
We're getting close to the end here. Peter Orphanos, where are you, Peter? Make your way up here, Peter. Come on now. And Bill Beckett. Okay, excellent. Guess I'm trying. I don't. I have not seen him. No.
Gone. Okay, thank you.
Greetings, everybody. Thank you. This is a great honor here. Bill and I wanted to share what we consider to be a great gift from Sam that continues to keep on giving. And that is the phenomenon, and it is a phenomenon of the Williams swimming reunions. And this goes all the way back to, at least for me, the spring of 1980, or sometime in the summer of 1982, and somebody called me up and says, Sam wants to have a bunch of people come down to the beach for a day and have fun. And pretty much every year, the call would come, and Sam wants to have people down at the beach club and have fun. And sometimes we'd have 5 people, sometimes we'd have 20 people, but we'd always have a good time hanging out and building these relationships. But there came a time when once we started digging the big hole in the ground and the big pool started to come into fruition, that I think Bill had a conversation with Sam where he wanted to take this to another level.
Yeah, and what Sam wanted to do was honor Coach Bob Muir, because he was going to be inducted into the Swimming Hall of Fame in 1989. So he called me up and said, can we do something? And I said, sure, let's arrange a reunion in 1989. So we went down to Fort Lauderdale, Coach and Mrs. Sam and Bob Muir, and we took a lot of pictures, and Bob was inducted. And then we had the first reunion in May of 1989. The amazing thing was we called the alumni office to get help, and they were so amazed at the number of people that wound up showing up, because the swim team family is really a family, unlike any other sport, and I ran track here as well. The women's team and the men's team are so well connected, and that's because of Coach and Mrs. Sam. And we started to get all these hundreds of people that wanted to come to a reunion. So that started in '89, and we got people from Bob Muir's era, and then since then, Peter got involved and others around in here got involved, and we've had one like every 5 years. So cheers to the swim team and the family unity that the Sams provided. And then one other thing, so this glass here has a picture on it of Coach and Mrs. Sam. Mike Stevens and Steve Delano said, do you have any pictures? And I said, I got the perfect picture. And it's from Carter House, 1980. We used to have swim team parties there all the time when the drinking age was 18. And I snapped that of Coach and Mrs. Sam when he was toasting us like everyone drink a beer. And years later, I said, Sam, can you imagine if the drinking age was 21 and cell phones were around? He said, I'd be in jail. So cheers to Sam and Nancy.
Okay, we have one last speaker coming back, and it's actually a reprise. But before we do that, I just want to remind people that we're here for the next hour. Please be with each other, enjoy the great food, enjoy the great drink. And then after we are finished here at 6 o'clock, many of us are going to convene down at the log for continued consumption of traditional refreshments. Also, a reminder, see Matthew for your clue as to how to indulge in Big Dick specials. Before we break up and go back to just enjoying each other, I want to bring Jim Cornell back for one final word.
I have 2 final words. In light of Liz Jex's happy discussions of Bob Peck, I will refer back to a haiku that I created for the 2000 pool dedication ceremony, which Wildman Stevens would not allow me to say. Ready? Yeah. A school, a pool, a tool. Peck, heck. Finally, if you could raise your glasses with me, starting with Coach Sam's 40th birthday in 1971, and every 10th birthday thereafter. I gave him a toast filled with praise and admiration, and ending as follows. But Coach, without Nancy, you wouldn't be doodly squat.
Okay, everybody, let's enjoy ourselves and each other, and let's tell lots of stories about Sam and Nancy. Thank you.